come to die or don't come at all. I heard a preacher say that just recently about following the call of Christ, following Scripture. You come to die or you don't come at all. Sounds very harsh. Sounds like a very strict way of doing things. A very menacing statement that you can't just go part way. Makes God sound very ruthless. But it's true. See, all throughout the Scripture, God never talks about going part way. He never talks about kind of following him. He never says, well, you can do a little bit and that's okay. He says, you believe in me and you deny everything else. Deny yourself. Pick up your cross. There isn't a halfway you're supposed to go. There isn't a, there isn't a second place. You either follow God or you don't. It's a yes or no decision. In Matthew 7:21 says, not everyone that says unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven. And many will say in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works. And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity. He doesn't say, oh, well, since you called me Lord sometimes, even though you didn't follow me and you didn't do anything else, the fact that you called me Lord, that's good enough. Like, I'll let you in to, the first level of heaven or whatever it is. I'll let you in a little bit. You won't get to the Abraham suite, but you get in a little bit. That's not how God works. It would be like you're building a house and you hire a builder to put 8-foot ceilings on. You say, hey, I want my ceilings in my living room to be 8 feet tall. So he says, okay, I gotcha. You go away. They build it. You come back to, walk through with the builder. You're walking through and you're like, these ceilings seem a little short. They don't seem 8 foot tall. The builder assures you, no, they're 8 foot tall. They're 8 foot tall, all right? That's what the carpenters said they would be, and that's what they are. So you get out and you measure, and you're like, huh, these aren't 8 feet. These are 7 feet, 4 inches. We're missing 8 inches off this. They're only 7 foot 8 inches right here. 7 foot 4 inches. Like, we're missing 8 inches from these 8 foot ceilings. So the builder's like, well, when I talked to the carpenters that day, they felt like a foot was only 11 inches. It wasn't 12 inches. So that day, the measurements they used were 11 inches a foot because they felt that was good enough. They felt that was about a foot. You'd fire that builder. You'd throw him out. You'd have to rebuild the whole house. You'd rebuild the whole project. Because those carpenters felt like 11 inches was enough to be a foot. It's about a foot. It's good enough by our standards. Well, that's not reality. A foot is 12 inches, not 11. Even if you want it to be 11 inches, it's not. God says there's a standard. He says you follow him. He says you deny every other god. Now, that might seem dangerous to say, well, believing in Jesus Christ as the one and only God and saying every single other god is false. Every other god is wrong and evil. Every other religion, every other form of worship other than Jesus Christ is wrong. Saying that is a very tough statement. Saying that is very brutal. But it's the truth. And if the stove's on and the burner's hot, you tell your kid, hey, that burner is hot. It's going to burn you if you touch it. It's going to burn that kid when he touches it, no matter what that kid wants it to do. You don't change reality just because you don't feel comfortable with it. If that kid wants to touch that hot burner, wants to grab that hot pan, it's going to burn them. That's reality. And wanting reality to be different is simply wanting to be God. People who say, oh, well, God wouldn't do that to somebody. Oh, well, God wouldn't punish someone to hell. Doesn't matter what you think God should do. That doesn't change who God is. The color blue is the color blue whether I feel it's good or not. If you eat enough calories, you're going to gain weight. If you don't eat as many calories, you're going to lose weight, regardless of any other factor. You don't photosynthesize. You're not like a plant. You don't get energy from the sun. Like, if you don't eat a lot of food, you're going to lose weight, no matter whether you want to or not. It's just reality. And the way God is set up following him is based on reality. He's God, and there is no other God. You can't have it your way. You can't have it more comfortably. You can't want to follow him halfway and change the rules to make you comfortable. He says, if you deny me, I will deny you. Right before Matthew 7:21, talking about how he's saying, I never knew you, right before that, he talks about false prophets and people who speak the word incorrectly and falsely for their own benefit. A thing you need to grasp is that God is a serious God. Like, yeah, life can still be fun. You can still enjoy things. I'm not saying to be, depressed all day. I'm not saying you have to just, whack people over the head with the Bible. But you can't deny him. You can't say, well, that sin you're doing is okay. I can't say, well, I don't want to offend you, but what you're doing isn't really in line with Scripture. No, it's sin. What you're doing is wrong. It's against God. It's contrary to the gospel. And you need to be willing to say that. And if you're not willing to say that, well, maybe you should open this book. Maybe you should actually, read about the God who you claim to follow. Because if you'd actually read about him, you'd understand he's not a God of wishy-washiness. I don't even know if that's a word. He goes all the way. There are clear yes and no's to important matters in Scripture. And we don't want to say that because we want to keep friends. And we want to keep our job. We want to be comfortable here on earth for a short 50, 60, 70 years. Maybe 25. Who knows when you're going to die? Who knows? We want to be comfortable while we're here. And we're willing to give up everything else for. We're willing to throw away eternity just for a little more comfort down here. And it all happens because of ignorance. There are people that outwardly refuse God and outwardly deny him. But a lot of people out there, they're just ignorant. A lot of Christians have never opened up the Bible. They've never even opened it. They don't even have a desire to open it. They don't even have a longing or wanting to know Christ. They know just enough, and they realize, if I open this book, if I read Scripture, if I read the Gospels, I'm going to be held accountable for it. I think deep down people realize that if they read through the Bible, actually read through it, they will be convicted of things they want to do. They have things in their life they enjoy doing. And by reading through Scripture, by opening the book, by reading the words of God, those things will be condemned. And they don't know for sure, but they're pretty sure it's in there. They're pretty sure the stuff they're doing is condemned, and they don't want to see that. They don't want to look at their sin. They don't want to look at it. You don't want to look at that, because that means you got to change. That means if you really want to follow God, you have to do differently in your life. You have to behave differently. You can't be who you were before. You have to throw away your old life. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And the sad thing is that people do everything they can to convince themselves that they're okay. That they're just loving. That, well, I'm just trying to love people more. You're loving people by denying the truth. How can you have love without truth? How can lying to somebody be love? I can't think of any greater love than honesty and truthfulness. Can you? Appreciate you watching this video. I have a bit of a stuffy nose today, so forgive that. Hope you got something out of it. And, following God isn't always easy, and you're not always going to do it perfectly. But it's worth it. Following the truth and pursuing truth is always worth it. So just don't let anyone else persuade you out of it. Don't let anyone tell you you shouldn't follow him or that you're going too far. Pursue God. Pursue Jesus Christ. Pursue the truth. And people will hate you for it. But that's just the way it is. That's just reality. People don't want the truth. People want to live in their comfortable bubble. People love their sin. People love their sin. So, Lord willing, I'll see you all later.